In 1872, a priest was quietly removed from his parish in southeastern Europe. No public explanation was given, no sermon addressed the decision, no record described the reason. Officially, nothing had happened, but absence of record is not absence of truth. But in the village, people remembered the months leading up to his removal, and they remembered them clearly. At the time, the church was more than a place of worship. It was authority, order, routine. The priest assigned to the village was young, disciplined, and considered exemplary. He came from a religious family. He followed doctrine closely. He was known for his restraint. There were no complaints, no accusations, no visible conflict. For the villagers, he was exactly what a priest was expected to be, which is why the change went unnoticed at first. The first difference was not dramatic. Services became longer, and no one knew why. Prayers extended late into the evening. Sermons focused less on forgiveness and more on correction. Sin was no longer something to be confessed. It was something to be eliminated. The priests spoke often of purification, of responsibility, of spiritual urgency. Nothing he said directly violated doctrine. Everything could be justified. Still, people began to feel uneasy. Soon, the priest announced additional gatherings, not during the day, not on traditional holy dates. He called people at night, at first in small groups, always after sunset, always at hours when no service had ever been held before. He explained these meetings as necessary, urgent, spiritual in nature. Attendance was not officially required, but refusal was noticed. Those who went said little afterward. Only that the meetings were intense and exhausting. After several weeks, the gatherings changed. The priest no longer called people together. He began calling them individually, always in private, always at night. No announcements were made, no records kept. Each person was told their presence was necessary, personal, important. What was discussed was never shared openly. But the effect was visible. People became quieter, more withdrawn, less willing to speak inside the church. It was a cold night in December, just days before Christmas. The priest sent word for a woman from the village to come to the church after nightfall. She lived alone. She had no close family. The reason given was spiritual necessity, a matter that could not wait. What happened that night was never written down. The woman later said it was not a prayer, and not something she had ever seen before. She did not describe the act itself, only that it did not belong to the church, as she had known it. After that night, the woman was different. She avoided the church. She stopped attending services. She spoke carefully, as if choosing every word. When asked why, she did not explain. She warned others instead. She told them not to answer if they were called at night, not to go alone, not to listen. Her fear was not dramatic. It was controlled, measured, which made it worse. Word spread quickly. People compared experiences. Small details matched. Times, phrases, rules that had never been written. Fear replaced uncertainty. The church no longer felt like a place of refuge. It felt like a place of obligation. No accusations were made publicly. No confrontation occurred. The matter was taken quietly to higher authority. The priest was removed from his position. There was no announcement, no trial, no explanation. He did not return to the village. Officially, the matter ended there. Years later, his name would no longer appear in any accessible church records. There are indications that a report was written, that the events were reviewed. But the document itself no longer exists. Only references to it remain, mentions without content, numbers without pages. The practices stopped. The church returned to normal. But the stories did not disappear. They were passed quietly, without detail, without conclusion. And eventually, the record followed. Some events are not erased. They are simply removed.